like to call to order the Thursday, September 29th, special meeting of the Fall River School Committee. I guess we're going to start this one a little different. Let's salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Agia?
Here.
Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Ms. Larrabee?
Here.
Ms. Pereira?
Here.
Ms. Roberts?
Here.
Mayor Coogan? Mayor Coogan?
Here. Any citizens input tonight, Deb?
No, there is not.
Thank you. Committee of the Whole, item 3.1. Interview of Lori Obenchen, applicant for the position of Assistant Superintendent of Special Education for the Fall River Public Schools. Ms. Obenchen is the Superintendent of Schools' recommended candidate for the appointment to this position of Assistant Superintendent of Special Education. Welcome, Ms. Obenchen.
Thank you.
We'll appreciate you joining us tonight. I guess you should make a little opening statement about
Sure.
how you became the recommended candidate, and then we may have a few questions.
Of course. Well, thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity to meet with you tonight. I am a passionate, hardworking, and dedicated leader who has spent the past 19 years of my career supporting the academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs of students with disabilities. The knowledge that I've gained from my education, as well as participating in 2 DESE leadership academies, and my experiences in both traditional public school and charter schools, has given me the skills I need to be successful in this role as Assistant Superintendent of Special Education. A little bit about my leadership style. My leadership style is collaborative. I believe that trust, transparency, providing others with a safe space to learn and grow, and giving others a voice is essential to being an effective leader. Relationships are very important to me. I want to build upon the strengths of staff and empower them to overcome our challenges and do hard things, because in the end, we all share a similar goal. We want all our students to reach their full potential within our school community. So I'm ready and excited to bring my knowledge, work ethic, and passion to a larger school district like Fall River Public Schools.
Well, again, thank you for joining us. Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Ms. Larrabee, please.
Not so much questions, because I know you've probably answered about 1,000 of them.
That's okay.
But I just wanted to say that you're, after reading everything, your employment qualifications, your resume, it speaks for itself.
Thank
I just
you.
want to say thank you for choosing Fall River. I want to wish you the best of luck. You're picking a great district with some great people at the top and every level of the district. So I wish you the best of luck. You have everybody here to support you. And that's it. I mean, I'm really, really impressed with what we were emailed from the superintendent. And I did have some leadership questions, but you just kind of snuck that in there. But again, thank you, because we need you. Kristen, thank you very much for what you have done the last month and a half. That's greatly appreciated, stepping into the position. We appreciate it. Thank you. I yield.
Any further questions? Ms. Rodrigues.
So I have a question about inclusion.
Sure.
Because that's sort of my love language. Not sort of, definitely. What does that look like in action for you?
So that is really important to me. It's a goal that I think I share with a lot of educators and families, because we want to provide students as many opportunities to participate in inclusion as possible. But inclusion to me is more than just a place in a classroom. Inclusion looks like seeing students actively engaged in instruction by asking questions, answering questions, working collaboratively with their peers. I would want to see scaffolding and supports in place so the students with disabilities have access to those grade level standards and to be able to access those standards as independently as possible. I'd want to see different learning styles incorporated in the classroom by giving kids choice and voice in what they're doing and how they're demonstrating their knowledge. And it's very important to me that special education staff are actively involved during instruction.
So you mentioned it's more than a place. So are you looking at inclusion as a place?
So what I'm place in a classroom. So some
Okay.
people say just because a student is physically in a room, they are included.
Okay.
And that's not what inclusion is. Inclusion is, yes, with their peers in a classroom, but they have to be engaged. They have to be able to access those grade level standards. So the supports have to be there. The, scaffolds have to be there. They have to be, when they're working in a group, an active participant in that group. That's what I mean by that. So I don't see it as a place, of course not.
Okay. So I appreciate that clarification.
Of
because
course.
We talk about that a lot.
Of course, yes.
I have one other question about
Sure.
inclusion. So how do we support our families in understanding what inclusion looks like and how do we honor what families are looking for in terms of their child's education in terms of inclusion?
Just like relationships are important with staff and administrators, relationships are important with families too. And giving families that same opportunity to share, their voice and what their goals are for their children, and helping them understand, where their child's strengths are and how do we build upon those strengths in an inclusion setting. And what does inclusion look like? Again, being in a classroom is fantastic, and every child can be in inclusion in some capacity. What does that look like for their child, and why is that so beneficial to their child? So I think it's those relationships, it's the communication, it's the ongoing dialogue with families. I have no problem showing families what inclusion looks like, because sometimes they don't know.
I could ask and have a conversation about inclusion all day, but for the sake of letting other people ask questions, I will yield.
Any further questions? Mr. Aguirre?
Just following up on that. So in your current role for the last 8 years in Foxborough, can you describe what inclusion, either changes have happened or where has it been in Foxborough with you at the helm?
So actually, we have always had a strong inclusion program. What we built to support the inclusion program was our co-teaching model. So being able to not only have the students in the classrooms engaging and learning with their typical classmates, but also having strong teams of teachers. So special education teachers are actively involved in instruction by either defining their role with their general education counterpart. For example, it might be, you might be the math teacher and you are the expert of the math content. I, as a special education teacher, while you're teaching that math content, might be assessing who is getting the content and who needs a little bit more reteaching. And then because we've discussed what's happening, you're going to give me the opportunity to provide some reteaching, or you're going to give me the opportunity to give an example in a different way, or ask a question that maybe students are facing. So we always had an inclusion model, but I strengthened the co-teaching piece of that. So special education staff were doing more than just prompting and cueing for attention in the classroom. And we brought in a consultant, Judy Garvey, to help us with that work. We also trained administrators on when they're going in to evaluate staff, what they should be looking for when they're co-teaching.
So when that happens, relative to the co-teaching, what does the schools look like? So as I'm looking at your resume and just in general, Foxborough has only 2,000 kids or whatever it is. We have 2,500 special education. So we have 500 more students than you have with
Yep.
the whole district. So what does it look like for, as far as over 8 years, you must have had some influence with the...
Oh,
the
So,
bosses on what it would look like, you know?
Sure, that's saying if you build it, they will come. So we have over 21 towns that come to Foxborough. So when I first started there, we had 0 students on the autism spectrum. Now 12% of our special education population are students on the autism spectrum, and it's because of the strength of our special education program, our families tell us that that's why they came, because people are sharing the strength of our programming for students. So the changes that I've been able to make in my influence had to do with building systems and structures, processes and procedures that allow staff to not only ensure compliance, but allow staff to have the structures they need to do their hard work. And we have more students with disabilities coming to the charter school than before my tenure there. And we have more students with more significant disabilities.
Are they leaving? You say more people are coming. Are there any leaving? So the
Special
people leave-
education, our attrition for special education is very low. Most kids who join our school stay there. Because we're K-12, so they can stay there their entire career. We do have other, the general education students that do come in and out.
Yeah. Do you have any substantially separate classrooms and?
I have partial inclusion and I have substantially separate classrooms, which are things that I built when I was there, because again, we have the students joining us with more complex needs. So we have in our elementary school 2 substantially separate classrooms and 1 partial inclusion classroom. We have the gamut of, severe autism to social emotional disabilities that just need a smaller space, but they can join the inclusion setting for a lot of their time. In our middle school, we have 2 programs, and then in our high school, we have 1 partial inclusion program, because we build our programming to meet the needs of our students, and that's our population right now.
Thank you. So one of the questions, and you've had this before, but I think it's good for us to all get an answer to it. With over 23%, about 2,400 students supported by IEPs in Fall River, our special ed department employs a team of educators, including paraprofessionals, teachers, psychologists, therapists, supervisors, and others. So 2 of the follow-up questions to that are, how will you ensure compliance in a district this large? And the other one is, assuming room for growth, what is your plan to improve inclusion opportunities now that you have studied us a little more?
Sure. So in a large district like Fall River, I would say that I'd want to look at building the systems and the procedures to ensure compliance and to provide staff with the support the structures that I mentioned before so that they can do their work. Because when I looked at Fall River's last tiered focused monitoring report from the DESE, some of the areas that were partially implemented are areas that could be addressed with having clear and consistent processes and procedures in place, as well as methods to check our work. As an administrator, I have developed a process and procedure manual for my district for special education. I've developed a new filing system so that our records are not only organized but easily accessible. And I've developed a variety of protocols and checklists to making sure that we are compliant and following through all aspects of the process.
Have you seen the Walker report that we had done?
I have not.
Is that on the website yet? Do you know? So we had done a Walker report on the special education department.
Sure.
And when we did the last interviews, which I happened to be on, but I wasn't able to go to yours, I had asked that be public. It's a public document. Everybody should see it, be able to. So as you're doing your research, which apparently you did, you looked at the other reports. The Walker report, I think, was a good opportunity to summarize where we're at, where we need to go. As chairman of the special education subcommittee, I want to work closely with you on making sure we're implementing those things.
Of course.
But I'm going to be voting yes for your appointment. My only thoughts are basically what I told you here, that coming from a small district, it's like hiring a person who has taught in a small school to a big school. That's going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a lot of work. And I hope that you're up for that challenge. The last thing I want to say is that we need improvements, and we need them yesterday. But that also talks about making some bold decisions and real decisions. When things need to get done, you need to be able to make a decision. And I think that's one of my biggest things that I'm looking for moving forward from the superintendent to you and the other superintendents, is we need to be bold and we need to make decisions. In this district, for far too long, we've just kind of like, oh, it's okay, we'll keep on moving it on. I'd rather you come to us and say, this is what I want to do, I'm going to be bold, this is what we need, and let's do it and get it done for the kids. That's sort of what I'm looking for. So I am going to be voting yes. Thank you for your interest. I think you explained why you chose Fall River, but maybe my last comment could be why Fall River and why
Yeah.
now? Like, it's the start of a school year, you're going to be leaving the school, like,
Yeah.
why now?
So why Fall River? I've been in traditional public schools, smaller schools. I went to the charter school world for a while, but I really want to try my skills and knowledge in a larger school district, and Fall River gives me that opportunity to do that. Geographically, to be honest with you, why Fall River, why now? I live in Rhode Island, but along with my own family, I have my mom with me, so I want to choose a district that is within driving distance in Massachusetts that makes the most sense for my family too, and Fall River is a perfect district for that. So I get a larger school district that I'm looking for, and I get within an hour drive of my home, which a lot of schools in Massachusetts are farther when you live in Rhode Island. So that's really why. And again, it was just, I've been looking for a while, but I have a position. I'm not unhappy where I am. I like where I am. So I wasn't just going to leave. I wanted the right position at the right location at the right time. And this just seems like that position.
Valid. Thank you.
Any further questions? Ms. Pereira?
Hi, I want to start all my behind you. Thank you for coming in and thank you for choosing Fall River. Honestly, a lot of the questions I had here regarding leadership and inclusion opportunities and compliance, you've already answered because you've had some good questions. But I want to reiterate something that Mr. Aguirre has said. I literally have the word bold written on my notes. I don't know where it's becoming, I don't know, but he took the words out of my mouth or off the paper. I think it's important. You need big changes, and I hope that, and I want you to have the confidence to come in and make bold changes and not be afraid to do so. You certainly have my support to do that. And I just want to welcome you to Fall River. It's a beautiful city. I think it's God's favorite city and a beautiful district, and we're happy to have you. And I really hope you do well.
Thank you very much.
Anything further? Okay, I have one question, and it's in your opening paragraph of your letter. This is piggybacking on what all the other members said. Describe your work ethic, because that's what's going to be tested.
So, yes. So, my work ethic, I do what needs to be done for kids. Kids are my priority. So, I will work hard. I will work long. I will ask the hard questions. I'll ask for help when I need it because I can't do this alone. So I understand that people say bold and change and that, but it also takes a whole team to do that, right? So you guys are on our team. Superintendent is on my team. I need that. So I will work long. I will work hard. I will ask for help if I need help. I'll do my research. I'm happy to read a Walker report, and I'm happy to learn more about Fall River in order to, again, meet the needs of the students in this district, because that's why I'm here.
Great. Thanks. Any further questions? Thank you, Ms. Overton. Item number 3.2 is a discussion and vote to approve the selection and appointment of the Assistant Superintendent for Special Education of the Fall River School Department.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira?
Yes.
Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Congratulations. Welcome. You just go home and watch Braveheart a few times and you'll be ready to go. You should watch it back to back and you'll be fine.
Oh, I'm totally going to interject on that. We are a good district. We are a huge district, right?
That's the deal.
We're a really big district. if you want to know more about Fall River, I would suggest you spend some time around here.
So my husband grew up in Swansea.
Excellent.
And I didn't Fall River.
Swansea's not Fall River.
Like is my diner, Malmax still here?
Malmax is still here, yes.
on the bridge.
Yes, we ever lived in Fall River, again, we, you know.
Better question, what is your favorite Portuguese restaurant?
This is a problem. This is a problem.
We're not putting you on the spot for that.
You show me the Portuguese restaurant.
She waited until later.
I'll take you to Federal Hill and we'll have Italian too. How's that? Portuguese in Fall River, Federal Hill, Italian.
We're going to have to talk about it.
All right. Next item 4 on the agenda, new business. Any new business to come before the committee tonight? Mr. Aguirre.
Just two things. So I had just asked a question about the website and the Walker report, and I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but when we did the last interviews, when I looked at the website, when we were in the, Sarah and I served on the original subcommittee for this position. So when we were doing that, I was looking at the website to try to figure out, like, what does it look like? What is the Walker report's a public document. It should be out there, and it's not. And I haven't looked today, but it's not updated. So this issue that I'm bringing up is not only for the special education department, but across this district, we need to get the websites updated. When I looked at the website during that interview, the CPAC, the special education PAC minutes were over 2 years old on the website. That's unacceptable. And this was over a month ago. So I'm only bringing this up now because it just came up. We need to do a better job with the website. We need to hold people accountable that are going to do that as part of their job. And if they can't do that job, then they shouldn't have a job anymore, because that's as basic as I can get. There's no excuse for it. The other thing that just came to my attention today, which is a question from Mrs. Ponce related to the busing and transportation. So I heard today that there's buses that are late every single day to certain schools, and we haven't heard that yet. So I'm asking if that is true, why, what are we doing, and are we going to need to spend more money? I know we talked about it in the beginning of the summer, that I think the start and end times were going to cause us to spend more money. So two questions. One, are the buses late every day to the tune of 45 minutes to an hour? And if that's the case, yes or no? Or maybe you've got to get back to us. And the other one is the money. What does the transportation budget look like?
Okay. I will have to get back to you on both of those. I will say that we have had buses that have been tardy. It's not necessarily a money issue. It's a staffing issue and a busing issue that we have been working with the vendors. But I will get you exactly how many buses are late, the amount of time. I know in the first couple of weeks of school, there were some buses that were late to the tune of the minutes that you're describing. I haven't heard that we are having consistent busing. I always get the calls, because I'm there late, that we're getting consistently every day, buses that are late 45 minutes or over, but I don't want to speak out of turn. I'll get you that information in regards to that and find out what the issue. I'll report to you tomorrow.
I appreciate it. And when I talk about the budget, I know in the October meeting, we're supposed to get the quarterly report for the budget. The issue related to busing is that we have a number, even though the city pays it, we're supposed to live within that number. If we're going to go above that number, then we need to know, the city needs to know right away. So in October, I'm assuming you can get that ahead of time, but I'm concerned about the transportation budget, personally. And I'm also concerned about the overall budget, because we had made some changes, and I think that that's going to reflect on the city having to give more additional resources to the schools, and that's something that can't wait until March. So when we send to the DESE a balanced budget, it has to be balanced. And now that we know that it's not balanced to a pretty good number, that needs to be readjusted, and hopefully in October we can get that straightened out. With that, I yield. Thank you.
Anything further? I have a request for executive session. Attorney Assad, is there a reason to go into executive session?
Yes, there would be, Mayor. It would be under Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically the new Assistant Superintendent of Special Education for the Fall River School Department, to be selected and appointed by the school committee in open session at the September 29, 2022 special meeting of the Fall River School Committee. Mrs. Laurie Obachang is the Superintendent of Schools' sole recommended candidate for appointment to the position of Assistant Superintendent of Special Education for the Fall River School Department. We will reconvene, and may or may not be statements at that time.
Can I get a motion and second on executive
So
session?
moved?
Second.
Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira?
Yes.
Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. In executive session. Back in regular session. Deb, please call the roll.
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira?
Yes.
Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Nothing further to come before the committee. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
I got a second motion. Deb?
Mr. Agia?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
Ms. Pereira?
Yes.
Ms. Roderick?
Yes.
Mayor Coogan?
Yes. Adjourn.